What if the most haunted house in America isn't haunted because of the house at all? What if the real source of the darkness has been there for centuries? This week, we're diving deep into the mystery of Willow's Weep, an infamous home in Indiana where visitors have reported terrifying apparitions, violent attacks, voices, shadow figures, and even suicidal thoughts. The deeper I investigated, the more I began to wonder if the house itself was only part of the story. Beneath the home, investigators discovered a strange fire pit, ashes, stones, and what was reportedly a child's arm bone. Outside stands an ancient willow tree, long associated with spirituality, healing, and communication with the unseen. And when you connect that with the Native American history of the region, local folklore, and reports of malevolent presence that seems to prey on fear, despair, and emotional vulnerability, the story becomes far darker than a simple haunting. Could Willow's Weep be sitting on top of something much older? And what if whatever people are encountering there has been waiting beneath the land all along?
Hello, friends and family. Welcome back to another episode of Weekly Bazaar. I'm Montana.
I'm Jessica.
And if you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. We've been waiting for you.
We've been waiting.
On our podcast, we dive into the bizarre, the spooky, and the unexplained. From true crime and paranormal encounters and strange mysteries, we explore the stories that don't quite fit in anywhere else. Each week, one of us deep dives the research while the other reacts in real time. If you're into weird stories and chill vibes, you're in the right place. A new episode every Sunday, so make sure to follow and subscribe.
I'm kind of back, trying to be back.
Oh, I forgot I did last week by myself. I don't know how I forgot that, but welcome back, Jessica. To all the new people, see, I swear I have a partner.
Yeah, I still am having ongoing internet issues. It is just never ending in 2026 for some reason, but we're here and we're doing our best. Showing up for the gang.
Yeah.
Weird shit has been going on as of late around here, and this case, there aren't any exceptions. It's just gotten even more strange. So I was sitting here, I think it was last night, and I was working on my script. I was at a part where I was having to do some research on Baphomet, which you will understand that in a little bit. And I had two documents open. So I was kind of typing messy notes on one side and copy pasting them to the other side. And I'd been doing that literally all day. And when I got to the Baphomet part, I copied it and pasted it over onto my final document, and the letters turned black. And I was like, whoa, that's kind of weird. And then the next thing I know, the whole section just disappeared. I didn't hit anything. And then the whole document, and I was many, many pages in at this point. Like, this is like a 35-page long bullet point that I've typed up, and it shot like all the way back up to the beginning. And then as soon as that happened, Montana sent me a message, and she's like, dude, this episode I'm doing is wild. Like right as soon as all that shit had just happened, and I was like kind of in the moment freaking out about it. So I had to call her and tell her what happened. But some weird stuff going on, really weird stuff. And just being like trying to be here, our technology is not cooperating at all. At all. This makes me wonder. I'm like, have we opened up some can of worms somewhere along the way that's messing with us? I don't know.
Well, we talk a lot about dark stuff on here, so it's a possibility.
Definitely is.
But I'm excited to talk about more dark shit. We've been talking about this episode forever. You're like, this story is so messed up. It's creepy. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say.
And this is about as dark as it gets, I think, in the real world here. Like it's pretty heavy. And I do need to put out a disclaimer, trigger warning, that there are themes of suicide in this. So if that's something that you can't handle, that triggers you, or then might not be the episode for you. But that is a pretty big detail in this story. So just putting that out there. And just, it's dark. It's dark in general. It's heavy.
Great.
So if you're ready, we can get into it.
Yes, I'm super ready, but we have a quick update before we start the story. This week we're on Broadcasting Seeds podcast, hosted by Bennett, and it's not out yet, so I'll let you know when it's out. But it was a lot of fun. I feel like we say that about every podcast we're on, but these are some really fun and great people, and we are probably going to have him on our podcast because he has a lot of paranormal stories and even some Sasquatch stories. And we know, and you know we love those, so.
Yeah, it seems like all the guys we have on here want to talk about Sasquatch.
He claims that he's been face to face with one, so we want to hear the story. So stay tuned for him being on here.
So most of the credit for this goes to a documentary that I watched on YouTube called WILLOW'S, a true haunted house in the heartland of America. And the rest of it is just my own side quests. So let's get into it. Yeah, I gotta get this one out of my system so all this creepy shit can settle down.
So you just spit it out to all of us. Got it.
It's what we're here for. So WILLOW'S has been called America's most haunted house, the most evil place in North America, and even a portal to hell by some paranormal investigators. This house reportedly saw 7 deaths over its history, including 3 suicides. It's located in western Indiana near the Wabash River. It's in the town of Cayuga, and I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing things correctly, but Cayuga has approximately 1,000 people living there, so it's a very small little community. A small farming community. It's surrounded by fields, woods, and river valleys.
Wow.
Cayuga comes from the Iroquois term Gwauge. Gwauge, which means the place of taking out and refers to a portage or a crossing point, which fits so poetically into this story. And as I was researching the house, I quickly realized that there are a lot of layers stacking up against this home, particularly the history and the location of where it was built, which we'll go into detail about a little later, layer by layer, because it's a lot. That's why I have so many little tangents that I go on here, because they're just hard to ignore, especially considering all of the dark shit that happened here and just the heavy feeling of the place. We'll be going on side quests. So the house was built in 1890 and it's located near North Elm Tree Road. Why would I say Elm Street? Oh God, it's been a long day. I mean, he'd fit right in, if I'm being honest. It's a small white farmhouse, approximately 1,427 square feet, so it's not very big. It's got 3 bedrooms and a bathroom. And one of the most interesting parts about this house is the floor plan it forms a cross. The house faces east, and when it's viewed from above, many believe that the cross appears inverted. So that's another weird little ditty about it. 4 unusual points were built into the ceiling corners of the central room, and all 4 of those points appeared directed toward the exact center of the house. and there's really no reason for them to be there. Like, it's just I guess an architectural design thing, but they just almost look like little triangle points on four corners of the room that points to the center of the house, which is where a lot of the activity takes place, the paranormal activity in the house. So for believers, the detail of the house seeming like it's an inverted cross when looking at it from above gives it the reputation that it's an evil place. But the symbolism of the inverted cross is more complicated than most people realize, which I feel like most things are. I feel like a lot of things that are associated with being dark or evil, people don't really know the actual history of those things. Like we were talking the other day, like pentagrams and things like that. They're not inherently bad things. It's just become that way over time. But the inverted cross is one of those things. It actually began as a Christian symbol, and it's known as the cross of St. Peter. And according to Christian tradition, St. Peter was sentenced to death by crucifixion in Rome around 64 to 67 AD. And he reportedly requested to be crucified upside down because he felt unworthy to die in the same manner as Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. And as a result, the inverted cross became associated with humility, sacrifice, devotion, and martyrdom. And for centuries, the symbol was used within Christianity. But somewhere along the way, it became evil. During the 19th and 20th centuries, anti-Christian groups occasionally adopted the symbol as a deliberate reversal of Christian imagery, which is typically the case here. And then movies such as The Exorcist helped cement the upside-down cross in the public imagination as the symbol of demonic forces, Satanism, blasphemy, and opposition to Christianity. So
there you go.
There you go. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the land that surrounds Willow's Weep. This, I think, plays a huge part in the weird shit that goes down here.
Doesn't it always?
Seems to, yeah. So the soil consists largely of clay and limestone. And here we go on a side quest. So when I saw this, I can't remember if it was in the documentary or if I just stumbled upon it myself, where limestone is kind of notorious for paranormal activity to happen where it's located. So I had to jump down that rabbit hole.
Which is funny because my topic is it has to deal with a well with not getting too much away made out of limestone.
Synchronicities.
Creepy ones.
That's been happening a lot lately.
Oh, yes, it has. Yes, it has.
So much of Indiana sits on extensive limestone deposits. In fact, Indiana limestone is famous enough that it's been used in buildings across the United States. The ground beneath Willow's Weep is reported to contain significant amounts of limestone and clay. So this leads us to the stone tape theory. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
So this is probably the most famous explanation for why hauntings and paranormal activity happen around limestone deposits. So the stone tape theory emerged in the 1970s, and this idea suggests that certain materials can record emotional or traumatic events, similar to how audio is stored on magnetic tape. And it made me think of like how water can store things too, or like if you speak negatively to water, it affects it on a molecular level. So it just made me think of that.
Like when you talk negative to plants too, they don't grow.
Yeah, exactly. And I fully believe in the power and energy of stones too. Like I do feel like they are meant to hold energy. So it makes sense, really, especially if they're located underground places like this, where a lot of really negative shit happened. So according to the theory, intense emotions such as grief, violence, terror can somehow become imprinted into the environment. Limestone is often mentioned as one of the materials believed capable of storing these quote unquote recordings. And according to believers in this, ghosts may not actually be spirits, but instead, witnesses may be experiencing a replay of past events embedded within the stone. So, kind of like the residual haunting thing.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that if you found a piece of limestone and you put it in a necklace, that it would carry bad energy?
That's a good question. I wonder if it just has a tendency to be drawn more to negative energies, or if it's just energy in general. I don't know. It seems like it would probably be negative.
Maybe especially where the location it came from.
So these limestone deposits often are associated with places that are thinner, if the veil is thinner there too. And some examples of this include the Bell Witch area in Tennessee, Mammoth Cave in Kentucky, which I don't know anything about. I've heard of the Bell Witch, but not. You've been to Mammoth Cave?
Yeah, not the Bell Witch.
Did you feel any energy, like negative energy there?
Honestly, I don't remember. I didn't spend a lot of time there because it was a really rainy, shitty day. So I didn't get to spend a lot of time hiking or exploring. But I'm sure if I got to go deeper in the caves, I'm sure I would have felt it.
Yeah, I would have looked into it, but again, like I already had 35 pages, so like I gotta calm down. And then numerous haunted sites throughout the Appalachian region, which we all know. Appalachia, am I right?
All you have to say is Appalachia. It's like, got it. Say no more.
Another huge piece of this awful puzzle is the fact that the area was occupied by Native American peoples long before European settlements were put in place there. And this is pretty common even here in Ohio. Like, we have so many Indian mounds and burial sites because they were drawn to the rivers. They had to live next to the rivers to gather water and things like that. And apparently there are two rivers that converge in this little town, so it was like the perfect place for them to settle down. The Wabash and Vermilion rivers both run through here. Ancient Native American burial mounds exist in the area, and local stories speak of a massacre occurring nearby before burials took place, though that I could not confirm, so I don't know if that's just hearsay. But nonetheless, residents still report finding arrowheads, pottery fragments, and other artifacts for like gardening, digging, things like that. So they definitely did inhabit this area at one time. And as we all know, Native American burial grounds are frequently mentioned in paranormal stories throughout North America. Many investigators believe disturbing any burial site, not just native burial sites, can lead to paranormal activity. And this belief centers around the idea that human remains should remain undisturbed, and that the dead deserve respect. When graves are damaged, relocated, looted, or built over, some believe spiritual unrest can follow.
That's how poltergeist started.
I fully believe that there's some unrest going on in this place.
Usually that's the first question when someone's like, my house is haunted. Is it on a burial ground?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And some of these burial sites or burial grounds, I mean, they're thousands of years old. And they often served as ceremonial, religious, and burial locations. So there was a lot of spiritual energy going on in these places. And these are hot spots for the paranormal theories, such as the residual energy that we talk about all the time. So a lot of that kind of activity goes on around these burial grounds.
There's this guy on TikTok, Instagram, I don't know his name. He brings a spirit box with him and he cleans people's graves. And so the spirit box obviously says stuff to him. So they'll be like, thank you, John, thank you. Or they'll be like nice and clean. One spirit was like, fat ass. He was like, excuse me? He's like, fat.
Aww.
But I don't know. I think that's kind of cool if you believe in that stuff. But if it is all real, the fact that they're literally thinking him, that's something to be said.
Yeah, for sure. And is it actually them, or is it, again, just like that residual energy?
Yeah, true. It's like how often are spirits actually hanging by their graves, or if you do clean their grave, or if you knock that grave over, which I highly recommend that you never mess with the grave. It's like, do they know? The part of me feels like they know because I feel like they will go and haunt you. I would.
One of the questions that Bennett from Broadcasting Seeds asked, and I was beating myself up for not answering it, he asked what one of the most disturbing cases that we've ever researched was, and we were both drawing blanks the whole freaking night. I think it's because we just don't run on all cylinders after like 5 p.m. But anyway, like, why didn't we bring up Anatoly, the dude that dug up the children and made them dolls? But this is making me think of him because I'm like, can you imagine all the energy he probably stirred up doing that? Oh,
that's a good point.
Not good.
But to be fair, we talk a lot about disturbing stuff, but they kind of mesh together in a sense because they're all terrible. So it's like, okay, which one's the most terrible of the terrible?
Yeah. And we have done so many episodes that at this point it's like, I need to have a list because I forget.
Yeah, he was hitting with us some hard questions where I'm like, I have to actually sit and think about this.
Yeah. One of the most intriguing aspects of Willow's Weep is the recurring claim that whatever may be present there doesn't simply haunt people. It appears to affect them on a deeper level, like emotionally. And this is not uncommon for entities like this that feed on fear, they feed on despair, they feed on suffering, things like that. Like if you're weak emotionally for some reason, not saying that, I don't, like maybe if you're going through something intense or you're unwell or maybe depressed, things like that. It could be that these things will be more drawn to you because you're more impressionable, you're easier to manipulate, and that seems like that is what is going on here in this house. And most of the paranormal investigators that went through this place felt the same thing. That was a recurring theme.
Did Zach Bagans do it?
No. Not that I'm aware of, which I'm really surprised by.
He'd probably be like, it's so negative. I'm getting this negative energy taken over me. I want to punch Aaron in the face.
No disrespect to paranormal investigators, but when I was watching this documentary, it was kind of irritating me because we'll get into it a little later why more so, but when you're trying to figure out, like, if you have your EVP, is it EVP?
Yeah.
Or the spirit box thing, and you're trying to figure out what these noises you're hearing are saying, and I feel like that's a slippery slope in itself because, I mean, we already have kind of these expectations when it comes to these kind of things, and I feel like that can influence what we're hearing when that might not actually be what it is, because here they are in the house and they're picking up, I mean, it was crazy, all the noises and all the voices that were happening through that spirit box. But the way that they were interpreting it, I'm sitting here as an outsider that had zero expectations, and I was hearing things completely differently than they were. So I don't know, that seems like a little bit of a slippery slope. Like if you want something so much, you can make yourself believe that's what you're hearing, seeing, whatever. But I'll get into that a little more later because I've got some theories. But back to these entities feeding off of people. Multiple of these investigators were experiencing feelings of intense dread, instant depression, hopelessness, sudden anger, thoughts of self-harm, and feelings of being watched or manipulated. And there was a point where a team of investigators spent the night in the house, and one of them had to leave because she was feeling so overwhelmingly manipulated by this presence and was getting thoughts of harming herself. So she couldn't go back in after she left. So
Wow.
it's very heavy energy. And as we'll get into in a little bit, the person who did this documentary is Dave Spinks, and he's been a paranormal investigator for a long time. And when he selects people to go through the house, it has to be people that have had a lot of experience. And that's saying something. Like, if these people who have been around the block are able to go back in, that's heavy shit.
Would you go?
I think I would if I was with the right group of people that was very experienced, because I myself am not, and I would want to make sure that I was doing everything right. But I probably would if I had a group of people. What about you?
Oh, I think I would, like you said, not to copy off your answer, but if I had the right people I trusted that have been doing this for a long time, know what they're doing, especially when things go bad, I would. But I feel like with our luck, it'd probably end up being like a horror movie where even if you're with the right people, it's like somehow you get locked in and you can't get out and you all die in the end and no one knows what happens, and then you make this podcast episode on you because you're dead. I don't know.
Just a very quick downward spiral.
Yeah, so maybe.
And also I think, like, being there, being on the actual grounds, maybe not even necessarily in the house, how that would make me feel would probably determine whether or not I'd actually go in. Because I am somebody who, I have suffered from depression my entire life, and if it's feeding off of that shit, might not be the best idea. I don't know.
That's a
I
very
have to
fair
feel it
point
out.
too. Approach with caution.
For sure. Anything like this is probably good advice to do that. Throughout history, many cultures have described entities that are believed to feed on exactly those emotions. Christian demonology and Christian belief, demons are often viewed as fallen angels. Their purpose is not merely to frighten people, but to separate them from God, hope, and human connection, which is terrifying to me.
Yep.
But I mean, I feel like it's the same concept with this. Many Catholic exorcists have described demonic influence as a gradual process too. So that just makes me think of the Peking wife.
Yeah. Let's say you're possessed by a demon or something, right? I feel like whatever takes over you is inside you, but you still have the power. But over time, I feel like the weaker you become, the more power it gains. And so that's why I believe it's not an overnight. It's a matter of like months.
Yeah.
So you could walk out of the house and be like, okay, that ghost hunt was freaky, whatever. And then later down the road, you could start changing into something else.
So creepy.
Then you're going to love my episode.
Excuse me,
Always
I'm getting
fun.
possessed.
By a burping demon.
Burping demon. So back to the Catholic priests. Rather than dramatic possession, they often claim it begins with emotional oppression. Feelings of worthlessness, hopelessness, self-destruction, and frequently are frequently one more time, Brenda, are frequently cited as the warning signs. In occult and esoteric theories, in certain traditions, there are beliefs in what are called astral parasites. These are thought to be non-physical entities that attach themselves to emotional energy. Fear, grief, rage, and trauma are believed to be especially attractive to them.
Well, we better be careful.
I know. I'm like, is that why all this weird shit's going on?
If it resonates, right?
But according to this theory, decades of fear surrounding a location could actually strengthen the phenomenon itself. So then this little side quest brought me to, and I wasn't sure how I'm going to handle this because I feel like I need to at least say it one time. But in Native American culture, they had a malevolent entity that they believed in, and this was I'm going to say it once and only once. The Wendigo.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
From here on, I'm going to say the spirit of winter. And that's
Do they call it
what
that too?
it's one of the many things that they called it. Yeah. But I guess it's pretty closely associated to winter because it's the way it's depicted. I think most of the time has like a heart of ice. So spirit of winter it is, or spirit of cannibalism I think was another one, but we'll just go with spirit of winter.
I like that.
And I honestly could do a whole episode on this thing because it's crazy. And I don't even know if it's necessarily a thing. Yeah.
They are things.
Not necessarily, from what I'm gathering. I mean, they are in a way. We'll get there in a sec.
You think it's made up? Okay.
But I guess this originated with the Algonquian folklore. It's a supernatural being found in the traditions of several indigenous peoples of the Great Lakes region and parts of Canada, which makes sense why it's associated with winter. And popular culture often portrays this as a monster with antlers, but that's actually not accurate, which I was surprised by because, man, it looks so cool. Like, it just made sense, but I guess that's just been kind of a modern invention. But traditionally, this thing looks like, I guess, like a really tall, skeletal, kind of emaciated thing that's like decomposing. So it's really nasty. But yeah, but this entity is associated with extreme isolation, insatiable hunger, greed, spiritual corruption, madness, and despair. And in some legends, a person does not encounter one, they become one. So that's kind of where it's like it's not necessarily a thing, it's like something you become.
So, the spirit of winter, these things were once human?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds horrific if that's what you become.
Allegedly, the transformation begins when a person gives in to darkness, selfishness, violence, or overwhelming desperation. It's often viewed as a symbol of a destructive force that consumes the human spirit from within. And I guess this is what I'm gathering. I didn't want to go too deep into the Wendigo. Oh, Jesus, I just said it again. I'm fucked.
Shit.
I didn't want to go too in depth about this spirit of winter, but from what I was reading about it, it sounds like something that possibly could have been kind of thought up or imagined during really hard times for the Native American people, like when they were very hungry or if there was a famine or something, because it's really centered around cannibalism. And I guess that the slow transformation would happen where you could instantly tell somebody was changing because like the look in their eye or this insatiable hunger that they started feeling and looking at you or other people as like a meal kind of thing. So I'm like, that makes sense that maybe this like folklore started because of times like that, when times were tough and people were so hungry that they were willing to eat anything, you know? That's just what I'm gathering.
I'm getting White Walker vibe from Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Like, are you getting
absolutely
that vibe? The White Walkers, that's what they're called, right? It's been a minute since I've seen it.
Yeah, especially the ones that are like in charge, that really are, they look like ice with the blue eyes.
They've kind of been gone a long time.
So I definitely, I don't know, that really caught my attention with this. I'm like, and I'll explain why as we go along, because there are just some things that happen that I immediately thought of this malevolent spirit. So yeah. So now we can talk a little bit about the land and who owned it, who built the house, and all of the owners throughout the years, kind of where all the dark history comes from this place. And it all starts with Jesse Sykes and the Sykes family. They were among the early settlers in Cayuga, and Jesse, he's often described as abusive, cruel, unpleasant. Like he was not a good guy. He didn't have a good reputation. Some tellings allege that he SA'd his daughter and was actually arrested for it, but they just fined him like $700 and let him go on his merry way, which is just maddening. Yeah. So yeah, needless to say, Jesse Sykes was not a good guy. Not at all. And his end was brutal, which, you know, I like my poetic justice over here. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I mean, allegedly this was his reputation. He was not a good guy. And another point about him is that he suffered from epileptic fits. So he would have seizures on the regular, I guess, allegedly. And this ties into his ending, his horrible ending, where he was on the farm. Again, this is a little farmhouse, a little farming community, and he had hogs. He had gone out to feed them. And when it was time for dinner, he didn't come back in the house. His family is like, where is he? So I guess his daughter went out to look for him and found him on the ground being eaten by the hogs.
Oh.
So they were like gnawing off his feet. They gnawed off his junk.
Oh my gosh.
And they were like consuming his intestines. And when she found him, he was still alive, allegedly. So I guess they pulled him back into the house and he bled out there and inside the house. So that was like one of the first horrific things to happen there. And that's pretty bad. And I had to put this in here because I'm like, is that actually true? But according to Dave Spinks, he found an actual obituary for Jesse Sykes. And I'm going to read it to you.
Oh, shit.
So this is allegedly Jesse Sykes' actual obituary, okay? And it's titled, Cayuga Citizen Devoured by Hogs. A ghastly and sickening sight. Uncle Jesse Sykes, an old farmer and respected citizen of the township residing about 3 miles west of town, met a most horrible death in near 5 o'clock on last Friday evening, November 11th, 1892. Since last spring, his stepdaughter went out to see what detained him so long. The feedlot is located 100 yards from the residence. When she arrived there, a horrible sight met her view. 15 or 20 hogs were feeding upon his lifeless remains. He had fed the hogs and started to return to his residence when he fell in an epileptic fit, and before he could recover, the hogs had partly devoured him. The daughter ran to the house and gave the alarm. The hogs were clubbed off in the most ghastly sight ever seen, eating off one of his ears, his privates, and were devouring his entrails. He was conveyed to the house and a neighbor notified to go for Coroner Brinley, who held an inquest that night. So he was born in North Carolina on the 17th of February, and had he lived to the 17th of next February, he would have been 75 years old. Funeral services were conducted by Reverend John S. Brown, a minister at the UV Church at the Thomas Cemetery on Sunday, last November 13th, 1892, after which his remains were placed in the silent grave to await the morning of the resurrection, when the earth and sea shall give up their dead to their many friends who assisted them so calmly. Most sincere thanks. So, yeah, kind of a karmic ending there, if you ask me.
I mean, if he did essay his daughter, that's kind of ironic that his jewels were eaten.
Yeah, that's very ironic.
Do you know why the hogs ate him? Just the fact that maybe he was having the fit and they just reacted to it?
I find it strange that they would have eaten him when he was alive still, you know? Like maybe he was unconscious to the point where he wasn't moving, and they were hungry. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know if
kind
that's a
of
common
weird because
thing.
they're not. I don't know. I know in some movie I watched, I forget what movie, but they hung this guy up and they cut off his feet or something, so he had bloody stumps, and then they let the pigs go out and the pigs would eat it, like eat out his stumps.
Was that Hannibal?
No, this was either a Rambo movie, like one of the new ones, the newer ones, I should say, and then it could have been Green Inferno. Maybe that one. It was
Oh.
either or. It's like a torture method or something.
I think they did the same thing in Hannibal.
I don't remember that one at all. So maybe, like, I don't know how that works because they're not cannibal creatures, but
Yeah, maybe once
they're
they get a
starving.
taste. Yeah. Once they get a taste, they just devour whatever it is. So it's a little blurry as far as some of these histories of the people that lived in the house, but Jesse had a whole family. I don't know how many kids he had, but I know at least had a daughter, and he had a son, John. And John is actually the one, allegedly, that built Willow's Wheat.
Oh.
Yeah. So after his parents passed, he stayed there and lived there with his wife, Minnie. And some sources would state that they had a daughter. Others didn't mention any kids, but I mean, it's just a little murky. And I want you to take a mental note of this part too. So allegedly, both Minnie and John died in the house as well. Minnie developed bronchial pneumonia and died from that. I'm not sure if she passed away before or after John, but John died in 1922, and I guess he was in the bathtub when he died, and it's unclear whether or not it was health related or if he took his own life after Minnie had passed away.
Oh.
So not sure there, but more deaths in the house. And then after the Sykes family was no more, the Skinner family moved in. Curtis and Cheryl Skinner, and they purchased the home in 99. Between 1999 and when John died, I'm not sure who occupied the house. Both of these people died in the house as well.
It's a lot of spirits up in that house.
Yeah. Cheryl died in 2001 at the age of 42 of a heart attack. And then Curtis died in 2006 at the age of 63 from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Dark history.
Okay, so I did look up because it was bothering me why pigs eat people. And it says pigs eat humans because they are opportunistic omnivores with a powerful drive to scavenge. So it even says most tragic incidents occur when a farmer or caretaker suffers a medical emergency such as a heart attack or a seizure and falls into an enclosure. The pigs will instinctively begin to consume the vulnerable individual.
Weird.
Yep. And it says if they encounter flesh and are hungry, they will eat it. So usually they're starving.
Yeah. That is kind of ironic, isn't it? Because, I mean, the winter spirit and how it's based around cannibalism and that, like, insatiable hunger. And then these hogs end up doing that to a human being. It's kind of weird.
That's really bad timing, the fact that he had a seizure at that very moment.
And it honestly makes me go back to the land again. Like, this energy was already there before Jesse Sykes and his asshole ways. Like, this energy was already there. I don't know.
Well, if its energy was already there and you keep having bad stuff happening to this energy, it's going to get worse and worse. And there's probably a reason why these people are dying in the house.
All right, so now we got good old Brenda Johnson.
Okay, Brenda.
And Brenda has the bulk of the information about Willow's Weep. She's got a lot of stories, and she's the one that's most closely associated with all the paranormal stuff in the modern era. She bought Willow's Weep with the intention of fixing it up in 2012, around about 2012. And I guess shortly after she purchased the place, she spoke with an elderly neighbor who was in her late 90s. A lot of these people that I talk about remained anonymous, so I don't have names for a lot of people, and some of them even had the voice camouflage or whatever. So sorry about that, but so I don't know who this little old lady was, but she claimed to remember a family that rented the house sometime during the 40s and 50s. The family consisted of a woman, her young daughter, who was approximately 5 or 6 years old, and an older son believed to be in his late teens or early 20s. And local rumors suggested that the woman had been married several times, like at least 3 times. And the elderly neighbor claimed that all 3 husbands had died under mysterious circumstances. Some locals suspected poisoning, though there is no known documentation confirming their claims. But then, to make this little old lady's story even more strange, she said that the young daughter had suddenly disappeared one day. And after her disappearance, she was never seen or heard from again. There was never a widespread search. No major community response was recalled, and there was no known explanation for what happened to her, which is very strange. The elderly woman also claimed that sometime after the girl's disappearance, the older son was found hanging inside the house. The location she described was reportedly near an area of the home that later investigators focused on. And it was like a threshold of the house. They show it. They show where he was allegedly hanging, and it was like a kind of a doorway, like one of those big doorways maybe between like the living room and the dining room, something like that. So he was hanging there, allegedly. But no known records have surfaced that fully explain the circumstances surrounding his death. So Gretchen shared a story about a friend who had died by suicide in Willow's Weep. According to Gretchen, her friend had recently lost his wife and was struggling deeply with grief and depression. She described him as emotionally devastated and in an extremely vulnerable state following her death, which it fits. And as she was talking, she said that she would go and visit him at Willow's Weep, but she immediately felt that something was wrong. She said there was a darkness inside the house unlike anything she had ever experienced before. She said the atmosphere felt oppressive, unsettling, and noticeably different than from previous visits. She said that he didn't seem like himself at all. His behavior, his demeanor, and overall presence struck her as being off, though she couldn't fully explain why. When she later learned that he had taken his own life, she was shocked. She found it difficult to believe that he would ever do such a thing. She said it wasn't like him at all. But, I mean, you just never know with things like that, unfortunately. You just never know. Somebody can seem perfectly fine and they're dying inside, you know? You just never know.
That's why they say check on your happy friends too.
Yes, definitely. But as all these entities go, she believed that this was one that fed off of his grief and emotional vulnerability. So there you go, Brenda. Aren't you happy you bought this place? Getting all these great stories right after you move in.
Yeah, I'm seeing the appeal.
Yeah. But Brenda, she had a lot to say about Willow's Weep. She said the house affected her mentally and physically. She felt intense fear, depression, and a growing sense that something was like horribly wrong inside. She also claimed that the house felt like that emotionally oppressive feeling, like that heavy weighing down on you feeling. Honestly, that reminds me of part of the ridges that I walked through. Like you could feel the energy shift from one corridor to the next, and one felt like super heavy like that, and then I walked into another and it was like instantly the energy felt so much lighter.
I need to break in sometime.
Yeah. Or maybe just see if you can get a tour. They might still do that. I don't know.
I have no idea.
I'd be surprised if they don't. I guess Brenda's husband was a very big skeptic until they bought this house. And Brenda claimed that nearly every visit to Willow's Weep resulted in some type of illness, discomfort, or unexplained health issue for those entering the house, like nausea, headaches, dizziness, general feelings of sickness, extreme fatigue. Doesn't that mean demonic?
Usually, yes.
But I guess every time she and her husband would go there, something really bad would happen with him. But I guess what really changed her husband's mind was he witnessed a man inside the house accompanied by a young girl. And after that, he was a believer. After entering the house on one occasion, Brenda claims her husband began experiencing severe chest pains. His condition became serious enough that he was taken to the hospital. Following medical evaluation, he reportedly required the implantation of a pacemaker.
Oh.
And during a later visit, he again became ill after entering the house. He started with the severe headaches, and then it turned into extreme weakness, and to the point where he couldn't even get out of bed. So she ended up having to call an ambulance. After being transported to the hospital, he became unresponsive for, I think it was like 3 or 4 days or something. And then they discovered that he had brain aneurysms.
Aneurysms.
Aneurysms, yeah. And I guess
More
the
than
heart
one?
problems and the brain aneurysms occurred within a matter of months of one another.
He's lucky he survived a brain aneurysm, let alone brain aneurysms.
That's what I was thinking. Like, how? Apparently they didn't rupture, because I think that's
Right.
instant death.
My grandmother, she had an aneurysm, but she lived. Then my grandfather, they believed they did an autopsy because he passed away in his sleep, and that's what they assumed that he died from, was a brain aneurysm.
Really. It doesn't sound like the worst way to go, honestly, because I think it's pretty much instant. So maybe you don't feel any pain.
I mean, I don't want to find out, so.
I don't either. Spirit of winter, be gone. We don't want any of your business up in here. We already got enough going on. After he lived through these aneurysms and heart problems, he kept going back for more, apparently, because she says that every time that he would go back, another illness or medical issue would happen. Like, I think I'd stop going at that point.
Why does he keep going? I don't understand. There's
don't
a
either.
correlation there.
Yeah.
Maybe he's drawn to it. Maybe he's drawn to the dark energy or something that's like pulling him, but he feels like he needs to go.
Could be. The renovations. So this is the whole reason that Brenda bought this place. She wanted to fix it up. So she started doing renovations she had a handyman that she would hire from time to time. And I guess her son was also helping her out here and there. And I guess repeated incidents involved her son working on the house. And one of them was one of the boards flew loose and struck him in the mouth or the face. So this was not just little stuff happening. Like, this was violent stuff
That's
happening.
very violent.
Yeah. But yep, I guess objects would move around a lot, loud unexplained banging, the sense that the house was pushing back against anyone trying to improve it, which I find interesting. I wonder if that's because it's kind of like desecrating a grave in a way to whatever this is. Like changing the house, trying to take it apart or do things to it. Like maybe it felt like it was desecrating its space or something. I don't know.
My mom went to a psychic one time, and my dad has remodeled a bunch of stuff in this house. Like the foyer is all brand new and looks. I have a nice foyer. It looks really nice. And I guess the psychic, she could communicate. And I guess my grandfather came through to tell my mom that he didn't like the renovations. He didn't like the change of the house. So
when you're set in your ways, you're set in your ways.
he didn't like the change. And I mean, he grew up in this house as a kid, and he, had this house his entire life basically. So it's just funny. He's like, no, I don't like it. So maybe it's the same thing. You're trying to change a part of your personality. So this house is like pissed off and wants to be, oh, actually, okay. This is a thought. They have all this bad energy build up, right? That's why if things are happening or escalating, it's because the energy's strong. So whatever it is has the energy to like move things, throw things, whatever. So maybe disrupting the house is disrupting the energy. So like maybe trying to fix things or make it different is making it weaker because you're disrupting the energy
Ooh,
it's built.
that's a good theory.
Like feng shui. You know how they say feng shui helps move the energy around and you should always change it up?
And I mean, if you think about the fact that this place was set up specifically to look like a cross, and it's got those 4 points that are facing inward, makes a lot of sense that that would be deeply rooted in the place, to like the feng shui and not affecting the energy of that layout.
Yeah. Well, it's like energy in the body.
Good take.
Okay, I got energy in my body. I feel stagnant. Like I got to move it through somewhere.
Yeah,
So the energy in the house is just stagnant, maybe, but in a
it
bad
definitely
way.
seems
That's why
so.
it's strong.
And if you see the documentary, if you decide to watch it, you can just see how outdated it is. Like, it doesn't look like it's been touched really much at all. It is dark, like everything's super dark and outdated and very heavy feeling in there. But just what really stood out to me was how dark it was. Like, it's just like a black hole in there.
I'm gonna guess Brenda got a really good deal on that house.
Brenda got a great discount. The more she tried to renovate, the more the property seemed to escalate around her.
See?
So your theory fits. Brenda said that they pulled up the floating floors and found a hidden book underneath. She described the book as being buried between the floors near the corner of a room or doorway area. It was titled, "Is There a Real Spirit World?" And it had a pentagram on the front. They showed the book too, so it was a little strange. It was almost like just like a little paper book that wasn't very big. Didn't look like it had, like you probably could read it in an afternoon or something. Like it almost looked like a magazine kind of, I guess. So somebody was into that stuff at one point or another. And why would it be under the floor? It's weird.
Yeah, and are they using the pentagram for protection or for something else?
Probably protection, honestly, because I think it was in that central area under the floor there where most of the activity happens. So I don't know. Guess it could go either way, especially if they weren't educated well and that kind of stuff. One day, she and her maintenance guy were working on the exterior of the house, painting it and whatnot. And there was a section that they needed to paint that was too high to reach. So I guess they drove a pickup truck close to that side and put a ladder in the back so that they could climb up the ladder and reach the part of the house that they wanted to paint. And the maintenance man was the first to go up and start painting. Brenda remained down below, holding the ladder steady. Smart. I hate ladders. And according to Brenda, everything appeared normal at first, and without warning, the ladder began shaking violently. Brenda claimed that the movement was so severe that she immediately yelled for the maintenance worker to come down. But it was too late because it shook so much that he fell off 15 to 20 feet down to the ground and he ended up pretty hurt, I guess.
He still is not dead, huh?
Well, this is the maintenance guy, not her husband.
Oh, okay. I was thinking her husband. I was like, this man has 9 lives.
Yeah, I think she probably had to get the maintenance guy because her husband's health was so poor. He couldn't do anything.
It makes me think of that reel I posted on our page. The house. This house is $75,000 and it's yours if you like live with the ghost or whatever. And the guy's just standing on top of the exorcism woman and he's just painting the walls. Like, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Another synchronicity. It's weird that you posted that right now.
I know, I posted it before I heard the story. It's just funny. He's standing on the exorcism lady and he's just like painting away. Like, hey, 75,000 is a good deal.
So I guess this maintenance guy, after the fall, he described what happened from his point of view. And he claimed that in his mind's eye, he saw the image of a woman rushing toward him. And he said that this woman shouted, "Get the fuck out of my house." He believed the voice and vision were connected to what caused him to fall, I guess. the mind's eye.
That's creepy.
And of course, when he told Brenda this, she was pretty skeptical about it. So what does she do? She's like, I'll do it. I'll climb up there and finish the paint job. So she climbs up there, and almost immediately the same thing starts happening. Ladder starts shaking uncontrollably, but she makes it down before anything bad happens. But she claims to have suddenly heard the voice of a woman saying, I'm going to push you off, repeatedly. So she climbed down. Another weird thing that Brenda was talking about was the fact that there had been a cross hanging on one of the walls. And because she was working on the house, it doesn't sound like she ever actually lived in it. So one of the times that she had been away from the house and she went back, she found that cross had been burned and was like a pile of ashes on the floor, and it left a burn mark on the wall that looked like the goat head or the Baphomet. So this is why I was looking into the Baphomet thing. And they show that
now?
seriously, but they showed the burn mark on the documentary, and I mean, to me it's a reach, but I could see why she would think it looked like that, because it did look like it had antlers coming off of it or horns coming off of it. So
up to interpretation.
Yeah, but again, the Baphomet is one of those symbols that's got a long, messy history. In modern occult imagery, it's usually shown as the goat-headed human-bodied figure associated with esoteric knowledge, duality, and in pop culture, Satanism. So depending on what you believe, I guess the Baphomet can mean one thing or another. To Brenda, it meant evil. Just one more evil thing. I'm not sure if this happened when Brenda lived in the house, or well, when she owned the house. I think it was when she owned it. But there was the willow tree, which is where the house gets its name, and it's in the yard of Willow's Weep. Willow trees hold spiritual significance in a lot of different cultures. Like, this tree is kind of important, and I have a theory later that has to do with this willow tree. According to one interpretation presented during the Willow's Weep investigation, disturbing or damaging a sacred willow tree could be viewed as violating something spiritually important. And I guess 3 individuals who were visiting the property were standing in the front yard, and they began discussing the willow tree and stories connected to it, which I don't know what those stories are. But one of the visitors reportedly made negative comments or jokes regarding the tree and the property's paranormal reputation. And a short time after leaving, the 3 individuals were involved in a serious automobile accident. The vehicle lost control and rolled off the road. The 2 men in the front seat were severely injured. The guy in the back was too, so badly that they all had to be rushed to the emergency medical services or needed emergency medical intervention. I guess they all lived. It's just a weird, ironic little thing that happened there. Again, like, is it the land? Doesn't seem like it's just the house. And I can't help but wonder too, like, the way that it's shaped like a cross. Like, what if whatever was already there was maybe influencing that in some way or another when it was built? I don't know.
I don't know.
What I want to know that I could not find out is how old that tree is. Like, when was the tree planted?
I mean, I'm sure it's pretty old.
Yeah, it looks incredibly old. Incredibly old. During another gathering at Willow's Weep, friends and family were visiting the property. Several adults were inside the home having dinner and socializing. A 3-year-old niece named Emily was also present. At one point, family members noticed that she was standing outside waving toward an upstairs window. And they go and ask her, "Who are you waving at?" And Emily allegedly replied, "The little girl up there in the window." Mm-mm. No, thank you.
I mean, didn't Brenda's husband see a little girl too?
Mm-hmm.
A little girl probably died in the house. Maybe during that time, we don't know what happened. That era, where no idea who
Yeah.
came and gone and died in the house. So it's funny that two people have now seen a little girl.
Yeah.
That's pretty consistent.
And two different people have heard female voices too, which I found odd, because if this is all kind of centered around Jesse Sykes, like, why are they hearing women? You know? But yep, Emily's waving at the little girl up in the window. And they just assume that she's using her imagination. But then a short time later, Emily suddenly began screaming. So family members rushed outside to see what had happened. Emily appeared frightened and upset. And when they asked her what happened, she said, "The little girl came down from the window and bit me."
Bye. I'm out.
Yeah, that sounds demonic. Sounds demonic. I guess initially they still thought that she was just playing around, but then later they noticed that she actually had bite marks on the side of her face. So it bit her in the face, allegedly. Yeah.
You can't bite yourself.
3. And remember, she was 3. So it's pretty messed up. It's pretty weird. Now, this is where some of the pieces start to come together that I haven't told you about yet, and I've been letting you kind of speculate. So beneath, and this is a huge part of this too, it's like, what was this house built on? Beneath the center of Willow's Weep is a shallow crawl space located directly under the main room of the house. Brenda's maintenance worker eventually decided to investigate the crawl space himself because he hasn't had enough yet, I guess. I don't know. While crawling under the structure, he noticed what appeared to be a large mound of dirt, roughly 6 feet in length, oval-shaped in appearance. And believing that something might be buried there, he began moving the dirt aside with a stick. Because why not? And of all things, why a stick?
Something could be buried here. Let me go check it out.
But you're a maintenance man. Like, don't you have tools? Don't you have a shovel?
Okay, he shouldn't be using anything, but curiosity killed the cat. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. But the whole reason that he went down here is they were well aware that there was something strange under the house. Like, I don't know if it was just a known thing from owner to owner or how they heard about this. Maybe Brenda stumbled upon it. I'm not sure. But there was like a fire pit type deal under there. So, and it was carved out with like stones in a circle. And it was like a fire pit. And so I think that's why he wanted to go check it out, to see for himself what was actually under there. And he found this mound of dirt and started digging with a stick. And according to him, something happened immediately after disturbing the area. He claimed that he felt this unseen force physically attack him, and he felt restrained, like he was being grabbed and he was unable to move. So it was almost like, sounds like sleep paralysis, only you're not asleep. It's just, you're awake.
I mean,
and
I'm not going to be like that person that says, told you so, but told you so.
Yeah, like, what are you thinking is going to happen here?
Kind of did it to yourself.
But here's the kicker, though. Allegedly, according to Brenda, he eventually emerged and was visibly shaken. He found a bone in that pile of dirt and gave it to Brenda. And she took it to the doctor's office, or to her doctor, I'm not sure. And they discovered that it was actually the arm bone of a small child. So I'm like, is that why they're seeing this little girl? Is that her arm bone? And if you think back to the little elderly lady's story, that little girl went missing and nobody ever figured out what
Oh,
happened to her. Like, is it her bone?
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh, full circle.
I thought this was so weird. After she figured out that this was the bone of a small child, she put it back under there. She stuck it back under the house where she found it. I mean, I
Okay.
guess it kind of makes sense if you really think about it. Like, maybe it's back to its resting place, but
I mean, do we like Brenda?
I don't know if Brenda's the brightest bulb in the box, if you know what I'm saying.
I don't know if I would put it there because what if that's some sacrificial, some type of circle? Because he said there was like a fire pit thing and like stones, and like what if it was used for Satanism and she was offered? I don't know. I feel like, but you don't know the history of it. So if that's what it is, I feel like I'd want to put it in a resting place where she can finally rest and the little girl can move on from the house. But again, we don't even know if that's the case. So
Yeah. And for whatever reason, they didn't. I mean, can't you tell how old a bone is? Like, why wouldn't they
yeah, and usually they can tell the
see?
age too.
Yeah. Because, I mean,
Or not
maybe
the
it
age, I'm
was.
sorry. They can tell the gender. I mean, they can't tell the age, but
They probably could. They probably could tell based on the size of the bone, like how much
well,
it's
yeah.
grown,
Because if
you
you
know?
watch Bone, she'll be like, "Oh, this person's age is probably between like 24 and 28." Like they have an age range that they can give you based on bones, according to the show.
Yeah, I don't know why she put it back there. Something else, too. Like, what if it was a Native American child's bone? That's why I wish they would have figured out how old the bone was. Like, not the age of the bone,
But
like
how long
the
it's been
child, but
decomposed?
yeah,
Oh,
like how long it's been there. I don't know if maybe they can't. I don't know.
I don't know. I took one anthropology class. That's all I can give you. I mean, well, who cares if we don't put it back? It's not like the house is sounds good anyway. What's is it gonna make things worse?
Yeah, it's not like you're going to disrupt anything. It's already been disrupted. At this point, I'd say it's already fucked.
Would you put it back?
I don't know what I'd do with it. No, I wouldn't put it back, but I certainly wouldn't. I'd be unsure of what to do with it because it would feel incomplete, you know? Like, where's the rest of it? And is it
And,
good to not keep it all together? I don't know.
and maybe he didn't bury even. Maybe he didn't bury deep enough for more body bones to be down there.
You would think if you found that somebody'd be getting up under there to see if it was like a crime scene,
Yeah, I was about to
you
say it's a
know?
crime scene.
I don't know. This could be a bunch of mumbo jumbo, people
And
making
you said
shit
she bought
up.
the house. She bought it in what, 2012? You said.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it would be a crime scene. This isn't like 1892.
Exactly. Like DNA, people. DNA. Could have
We would have
very
solved the
easily
case like
figured
we
out who
always
that
do.
belonged to. Yeah.
Okay, so we don't like Brenda. Got it.
Bye, Brenda. So she eventually decides that the house is just too much to handle and
Okay, so
decides
that
to
was
sell
the
it.
final point.
Yeah. I don't know if that was the final point because I'm not exactly sure in what order these things happened, but enough happened that she was done. And I think it really was more so like all the physical stuff that was happening, people getting hurt, people getting sick. It's like, okay, enough's enough here. And this is where Dave Spinks comes into the picture because she ends up selling the house to him. Because at this point, he's heard all the stories, he knows the history, and he wants to investigate this place. So he buys it off Brenda. That's dedication.
I'm good.
And if you don't know who Dave Spinks is, because I didn't, he's a longtime paranormal investigator. And I guess he's been researching paranormal phenomena since the 80s. So he's been around the block. Prior to becoming a full-time investigator, he served in the military and later worked in federal law enforcement. So I'm thinking, okay, why don't you take the bone and see who this is? If you have connections with law enforcement, like, why aren't we figuring out who this bone belongs to? Like, why wouldn't that be the first thing he did, you know? Like, if you have ties to law enforcement, why aren't you figuring out who this bone belongs to?
Okay, so has he gone back under there and gotten the bone?
No. Not from anything I saw in that documentary. No.
Why?
Which makes me wonder if there was ever a bone at all. Because if you own the house, why aren't you excavating the hell out of that under the house?
I mean, that's a good point. That's
forensics. Like, come on.
Maybe he doesn't want to disturb it. I don't know. I personally would get under there and be like, okay, do whatever test you can on this. Yes, do whatever test you can on this.
He wanted to do a long-term investigation, which is why I think he bought the place. He assembled a small group of trusted investigators to assist with this investigation and named them Black Wolf Paranormal. So I guess this is his company. And that part was, it was something. Watching them walk through that house and like getting their feelings and picking up on the energies. But that was the group where one of the women had to leave and she couldn't come back in because she felt like whatever entities in there was really honing in on her. So she couldn't go back in for the rest of the night, and they were doing like a whole overnight thing. But they were trying to communicate.
Since he bought the house, does he just use it for investigations? Does he let people go in for investigations?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it sounds like he handpicks who can. Like I said earlier, like he wants people that have a lot of experience, that really know what they're doing, to be the ones to go in.
Okay, so that's what you meant by that. Because I didn't know he bought it. I just thought it was he went in there with people he trusted for like a one-time thing. I didn't realize that he bought it.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably should have said that early on, but that he ends up buying it. But yes, so any of the investigators that come through are like handpicked by him. They need to know their shit. And another one of these investigators was Eric Connor. And honestly, he was my favorite out of all the paranormal investigators. He went pretty prepared. Like, he seemed to really know what he was doing. He had his wits about him. He had a lot of pretty cool equipment. And this is really where my theories really started to take hold, because like the things I was hearing, the things I was seeing that he was picking up with his equipment, it's pretty crazy. So he was the one that had an EVP, he had an SLS camera, which I'd never seen one of those before.
What is it?
But basically it detects like signatures of bodies, kind of.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I've seen
other
that.
Beings. They almost look like stick figures.
Squiggly, yeah, like sometimes look like they're dancing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was pretty wild. It was pretty wild. But he was picking up all kinds of noises on his EVP thing. And then he went back in with, I don't know, what's the spirit box actually called? I don't know.
Spirit box.
Then it wasn't that, it was something else.
Like where words were coming through, you mean?
Yeah. But it, like, he went in a couple different, he probably had been there a few different times. But I know the first time he had the EVP and he was explaining the sound that was coming through as a guttural scream sound. But to me, it sounded like somebody was coughing. Like, it sounded like a cough. And it just made me think of the woman who died there from pneumonia. Like, it sounded like somebody coughing. I mean, it was literally like like that. And he's like, yeah, it's a guttural scream, but they were so honed in on the Jesse Sykes idea that it's Jesse and it's his house and that he's the one. But I'm like, somebody's coughing. A woman that was sick there was coughing probably before she died. People are hearing the voices of women. So I'm like, is this Jesse or is this one of the women that maybe was more vulnerable, that is being like held to the house or something? But that was just one part. So then he busts out this SLS camera, and that's when shit really got weird. So he is pointing it at one of the other investigators that's with him. He picks up a signature right next to the dude that was with him. And it was freaky because Eric kept saying, why am I picking up these humanoid looking things that don't look human? And this thing that was standing by his fellow investigator was like really tall and stretched out, like to the point where you could see its legs and its torso, but then you couldn't, like, he couldn't fit the whole thing in the camera. And it just instantly made me think of the spirit of winter.
Winter, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because it's supposed to be like super tall and skinny, and I'm like, man, there's some layers of shit going on here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Could you sleep after that episode?
Oh yeah. Slept great.
Like, it takes darker shit to keep me up.
Until I woke up to Tony tap dancing.
Oh.
That's a story for Patreon.
Okay.
But yeah, that was really freaky to see. And that wasn't the only thing that he was picking up with the camera. So the same investigator that the really tall, lanky thing was standing next to, he was kind of walking back and forth through the room. And he kept picking up the smaller one, the smaller signature that almost looked like it was climbing on the guy. It was so creepy. And I'm like, is that the little girl? Or like,
oh, yeah.
I don't know. But it just looked, it was so creepy though. Like, it just looked like it was scampering all over his body, like crawling up him and crawling down. It was so freaky looking.
Could he feel it?
No, he wouldn't have known had Eric not told him, because he was like looking through the camera and he's like, okay, I'm getting a signature. And that's when he was like, why does it not look human? And there was something about it that did kind of feel a little animal, but you could tell it just looked like a small child, or even smaller than, like maybe even baby sized, but it looked like it was just scampering up and down him. It was so creepy. So yeah, really, really dark shit was going on, and multiple teams of people were going in and out and doing these things, and all of them were picking up just the noises that you could hear were insane. You could hear some talking as well, but again, it's one of those things where what they were interpreting, I wasn't hearing the same thing. And I think they were so focused on the whole Jesse Sykes thing that it could have been influencing what they were hearing, I guess.
Well, that's why you have to go into the house and know nothing about the house.
That's true. Yeah, that would have made it much more interesting, in my opinion, because like I said, it almost annoyed me in a way, because I'm like, it's not what I'm hearing here.
Yeah, and I know sometimes when they go back, especially on Ghost Adventures, but I'm talking about this episode, and it's like Beckon's on here. I don't know why I keep talking about it. But it's like, okay, what did he say? And they keep replaying the spirit box, right? And they give you the description of what it says, or like the word it says, and I don't hear it at all either. Like, the word could be like mother, and I'd be like, I did not hear mother. I heard something completely different. So it's like you said, I wonder if they just go in and try to decode what they think it says to them. This is what it sounds like. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And I'm not sure. Maybe we're not really supposed to know, like, Maybe it is something. And then I think too about the limestone theory, and like, what if they are just echoes of things that have already been said, or things that have already happened, noises that have already been made, like the coughing or whatever, and it's just like an echo of those things, and they're not even really talking to you, you know? Like, they're just existing in this loop, and you're just picking up on it, kind of thing. And but you're trying to make sense out of it and say it's one thing or another when it might not be at all. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think we're onto something? Let us know. I don't know. One of the investigators also thought, and this makes sense too, that perhaps this was some kind of a portal here, like where things are moving freely in and out of the space for one reason or another. And very well could be, because if you actually do decide to watch this and you hear all the different noises going on, it sounds like a lot of different beings or entities or spirits or whatever it is are there. It was wild. I also find it interesting though, with the original team that went in, that was actually Dave Spink's team, the woman that had to leave and couldn't come back in. It just makes me think about the fact that most of the voices being heard, at least up to the point before they had the spirit box, people were hearing women. I wonder if whatever this is more drawn to women, or like drawn to women in a way where it wants to keep them, because anything that was directed toward men, it was almost like it was trying to get rid of them, if that makes sense. And I wonder if, like, the woman who died there of pneumonia is being kept there by this entity. I don't know.
Like, if they died in the house, they're trapped there.
Yeah, but my point is, like, of all the people that went in that night, why that woman? Again, it was a woman, and she said that it was like she could just feel it, like, really focusing on her, and that's why she had to leave and didn't want to go back in. Like, maybe it is drawn more to women and wanting to maybe control them or influence them. I don't know. Just a thought.
Is that why the men are committing suicide?
It has been all men that commit suicide.
But why? It's like it's
I
trying to
didn't
get rid
even
of them.
think. Wow. Did not even think about that.
Yep.
And most of them were, well, I think most of them were mourning their wives, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
That's strange.
Just all new doors opening.
So there was a priest that they were kind of interviewing throughout this documentary, and he had some input. His name was Father Scruggs, and that was kind of a funny name. Sorry. Scruggs. But he believes that there was probably more than just one thing going on here.
Okay, I could have told you that, Scruggs.
Yeah, which I definitely think so, for sure. Like, maybe it is an area that's like a portal or something like that, but also things are being kept there that have like a level of intelligence to a degree, spiritual presence. I don't know. There's a lot going on there. Sadly, or maybe not sadly, Dave decided to have the house demoed, which I was really shocked by. Yeah, I guess maybe he just found out as much as he wanted to about the place, and there was really nothing more. But I'm like, okay, once you're done with the demo, why don't you start excavations? You know, like, why aren't you excavating the ground, looking for bones and stuff?
Maybe he can't.
Maybe,
like, legal reasons or something.
That could be. Because it was like Native American burial grounds, maybe it would be like considered desecrating it or something like that. There has to be a reason he's not doing it.
He demolished it, so unless it's a really bad house.
I have a feeling there's more to that too. I bet the people that lived in that little village were getting sick and tired of all the people coming in and out. So I bet that probably played a part in it. I know I would be irritated as hell. But yep, he had it demoed, and to him, it was a harmful place tied to a long history of suffering and disturbing activity. So tearing it down to him was like the final act and putting an end to it, which I just don't understand that, because I don't think it was the house itself. I really don't. What do you think?
I don't think so either. I don't think it was the house itself too, because there's other neighboring houses, right? So it's like, why that specific house? Unless it just happened to be buried on something that just happened to be that tiny little plot. I don't know.
I think it was the whole area, and maybe that was like an epicenter of some weird shit going on. But before we go, I will tell you my silly little theory that I have. And when I was telling Tony, he was just laughing at me. Because I've been eating, breathing, sleeping this house for the past like week. But for me, it all comes back to the tree. And it just got me thinking. I'm like, okay, so we know that Native Americans lived here at one time. We also know that there is spiritual symbolism and significance to willow trees. That's why I want to know how old the tree is. I'm like, was it there before? Was this a place where the Native Americans would come and honor the dead or something like that? Or, and this is a stretch, but this ties in the spirit of winter. And I'm like, what if that was actually, that presence was already there, the spirit of winter, and that dark energy existed, and the tree was a way of maybe trying to neutralize that energy, and maybe that was a place where nothing ever should have been built again or something. Like maybe it is an epicenter of some kind for this foul, dark energy to really manifest itself in one way or another. I don't know. That's just my thought. But I really do think the tree has to have significance. I don't know.
I mean, that's what the tree was in Pocahontas. Remember?
Yes. Grandmother Willow.
Yeah, see?
Listen with your heart. You will understand. I love that.
Only if trees could talk.
Seriously, because I bet they'd tell me to shut up because I talk to them all the time. I go out and talk to my tree in the front yard all the time.
Do you hug it?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure my neighbors think I'm super weird. I was so mad when somebody tore a branch off of it and threw it in the yard that one day. So don't mess with my trees.
Oh, no wonder your house is haunted.
So I wonder if people still go there to the land, and they're probably not allowed to now. But I guess we'll never know, and we'll never get to go. And maybe that's not a bad thing. But what do you guys think? Do you think that this was like an epicenter or like a portal, or maybe once upon a time a gathering place for like to honor the dead or to put the dead to rest? I don't know. Nobody's digging, so maybe we'll never know.
That's depressing. I wish you would have messaged him and see if he would respond about your questions you have, because maybe he could have answered them. That'd be kind of cool.
Dave?
Yeah.
I should have, because I bet he probably would.
Well, guys, thank you for all the love and support. You can find us on all the social media at Weekly Bizarre Podcast. You can email us at weeklybizarrepodcast@gmail.com. You can support us on Patreon. It's only $5 a month. It really does help give us better equipment so we can make this podcast better and better. And that's patreon.com/weeklybizarre. If it's weird,
We're gonna talk about it. Bye. Hope you can sleep tonight.